Hey y'all, what's up? It's your boy Evan. Welcome to the Cartoon Block. Today I'm going to show you guys how to color Korra using Copic markers. Get back here in a few seconds and we'll get started.
Be sure to click here to subscribe so you don't miss any new videos. Today we'll be using the Copic Manga Wallet B24 set along with the Copic multi-liners. Stay tuned to the end of the video to find out how you can win these cool art supplies. We're going to be coloring my sketch of Korra. If you haven't seen the drawing video, click right here and go check it out. Before we begin, we first want to decide what colors to use to color Korra using the Copic markers. So I'm just putting down different colors to see how they blend on the paper and how they appear next to each other. We're first going to take the drawing and trace it onto a regular sheet of computer paper. I'm using my mechanical pencil to get the fine lines that I want, and then sometimes I switch over to my regular HB drawing pencil. I'm not going to trace the shadows that I have on Korra. Instead, I have different plans for those when I use the Copic markers. So for here, we're just going to stick with this pencil outline. The Copic sketch markers have two ends, the chisel tip and the brush tip. Today we'll be using mostly just the brush tip. We're going to begin by putting in Korra's base color using the blue-green 01, the aqua blue, and using the brush tip, simply paint down or lay down the color. And I'm purposely going to avoid the outer line of her form. I have plans for that later on, which we'll get to. And once you have that line and your border line down, simply fill in the rest of it. And I want to darken in this contrast outline on her. Since I don't have a color that's a little bit darker than the blue-green 01 in the same family, I'm simply going to go over this area to put down her shadow line, and I'm using my sketch as reference for where the shadow should go. And remember, if you want your same color to just be darker, you can do this technique with any of your Copics. I'll continue the shadow on her white stripe by using the cool gray 1. Now I'm going to pick up the blue-green 05 to put in an even darker color on that contrast reflective area on her left side, and brush it down just in this section. And then picking back up the BG01, I want to blend the colors together. So I have the darker color, then use the lighter color to go ahead and blend it. Then going to put in her lines to indicate her abs right here. And still using the BG01, going to put in some wrinkles on her clothes. And I'm continuing the same shadow technique by using the BG01 as a cast shadow for her chin, under her neck, and any shadow areas on her shirt. And her shirt's pretty much done. Now we're going to move on to her armbands using the C5. I don't have a blue color that matches her armbands, so I'm going to create the color by mixing two, using the C5 that I have right here and the BG05. This will give me that dark blue grayish color that her armbands are. So when you don't have a color, do what they taught you in kindergarten. Yellow and blue make green. Now going on to her skin, going to use the E00, and I'm going to leave certain white parts on her fists as well and color it in. Now we're going to use the E11 to put in the shadow color. So the E00 was her base skin color, and then E11 is her shadow. And I'll apply this technique for the rest of her skin. Now we're going to grab the C3 to put the shadow on the white part of her arm. And now we're going to use the C7 to make that armband even darker in certain deep shadow areas. Now going back, going to touch up her skin with the E11 again. And then, just like we did on her fist, we're going to go to her arm and use the E00 to lay down the skin color. And fill it in. And leaving the white areas at the top of her arm purposely blank. And darken in the outer edges. And using the E11, we're going to give that outer edge even more contrast to make the drawing pop off the page somewhat. So that darker area next to that lighter area makes your drawing look cool. And then continuing on under her arm right here in some shadow areas. And this is where the brush tip comes in handy, because you can just stroke down the color like it's a brush. It doesn't give you that hard line. I'm going to go back to the E00 to now blend the colors together. And then pick up the E11 to darken in a little bit more. And you can go back and forth on your drawings like that. Getting darker and adding colors and blending them. Now for this armband up front, I'm going to use the BG05. And I don't want it to be as dark as the other armband, because the other armband was further away. And now using the BG01, we're going to kind of blend in a lighter color on her armband and make it lighter. And kind of blend the colors together. And then grab the C3 to give it that grayish tone that the armbands have. Make sure it's darker. And now we're going to treat her hand the same way we did her arms and her other fist. Putting in the base tone, the E00, and then the shadow, the E11. And I'm being mindful to leave a white outline along her hand as well. And this is what we have so far. Now moving on to her hair, we're going to use the E55, this light camel color, to lay down her base color of her hair. And once that's filled in, we're going to pick up the E37 to put in the dark shadow color of her hair. And get that in and fill it in on top of the E55. Then we're going to repeat the process in the different section of her hair. And put it along her pigtails. And once again, the E37 as well. And just lay down the brush strokes. And her hair ornaments, we're going to use the BG01. And now onto her face. Her face, just like her arms and her hands, we're going to use the E00 as the base color. Be sure to leave a white outline on the outside of the outer edge of her head. And something there on her cheek, a little white spot there. And then using the E11 to put in the shadows on her face. Under her eyes, around her cheeks, under her lip. And then kind of darken in. Just kind of keep going over the top the darker you want it. I want to create some kind of dramatic feel by having that darkest line next to that white area. And under her chin, we're going to put in her shadow. And then using the blue to put in her eye color. And quick little strokes on her hairband. And the same thing, darkening this contrast line. And we're using E59 for dark shadows on her hair. Now I'm going to use my white gel pen to fill in the highlights in her eyes and the extreme white parts, the whites of her eyes. And that's where gel pens come in handy. And this will make her eyes pop out. Now I'm going to grab the Copic multi-liner, the 0.3, and get in there on her eye detail and darken those in. This will really make her eyes pop off the page. We're all attracted to a character's face. Villains, heroes, doesn't matter who. And we want the face to be seen. The face has all the expression that we need. So I'm not going to outline the entire drawing, just certain areas to make the drawing just stand out a little bit more. So I'm going to apply the multi-liner on her eyes, eyebrows, nose, lips. And I forgot her shoulder over here, so let's go ahead and tackle that one. And I want to put Korra on a background, so I'm going to go ahead and rough in some color for the background and just any kind of abstract design. And now we're going to tackle that white space that I kept talking about with the reflective color using the Y08. So when you put a color down on a character, especially a highlight like this, it tells the viewer that that is the color of the light source that's hitting them. And it makes your drawings look more dramatic. So if there was a blue color that was on her, you put down blue, a green color, green, red, red, whatever. Feel free to experiment with different colors. So I'm going to go back to the white gel pen and highlight just certain areas that I want to just make sure that they're white. And just kind of just abstractly put some white marks and speed lines around the drawing. Just make it interesting. I like using regular computer paper for my Copic drawings because when I turn over the paper, you can see all the cool colors as they bleed through and you kind of get like a different image. And there's my Copic marker rendering of Korra. Thanks for watching, guys. We'll be giving away this 24-piece sketch marker manga set and the multi-liner pens to one lucky person. All you have to do is follow these simple steps, and the winner will be chosen in the next Cartoon Block video. Be sure to follow me on Twitter and check out my previous Copic tutorial.